Hello everyone. The passage that we are going to dwell upon today is taken from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 21, verses 33 to 43 and 45 to 46. The passage is a summary of the entire story of salvation in just 10 verses. It is a history that belongs to us. It is a covenant which God wishes to establish with mankind and in which He has also called us to participate in it. Like any other love story, this is a story of the covenant has its positive moments, but it is also marked by betrayal and rejection. Since this is a parable, every figure, every person symbolizes something. For the Jews, they understood that the vineyard simply meant the Jewish nation. The vineyard of God meant the house of Israel and the people of Judah. The landowner represents God, who puts into place everything and goes off to a far off land. And before going, appoints tenants. Here, the tenants represent the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. The tenants are just given to take care of the land, and they soon occupy it. When it's their turn to give back, and the landowner sends his servants, they kill them. The servants here represent the prophets, and God keeps sending his servants, and finally he sends his own son, who is also murdered. Let us look at this in context. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, begins when Jesus enters Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. The people welcome him, and immediately he gets into a tiff with the Pharisees and the chief priest. They question the source of his authority, and in response to their question regarding his authority, Jesus breaks into three parables of judgment. And we are looking at the second parable of judgment, which is the parable of the tenants. The parable is unmistakably direct, and its message in verse 45 tells us that when it's the chief priests and Pharisees heard this parable, they realized that Jesus is speaking about them. The context of this parable of the tenants is relatable to the Jewish community because at that time, absentee landowner was a familiar practice. There are two significant things about this passage. One, God's providence. Two, God's patience. Let us look at God's providence. Jesus' story as the owner of the vineyard, providing for security, sanctuary, and salary. God has been so faithful that He's provided a hedge of security. He built a watchtower for protection and lodging for the laborers. He provided everything necessary. More than anything, there's a great trust that He has placed in the hands of the tenants. Even the vineyard was a fruitful ground. So the problem was not with the land, it was with the tenants. They considered themselves to be the landowners. Second, God's patience. God, who represents the landowners, when He sent His first set of servants, the tenants killed him, and again He sent another set of servants, which they also killed. Knowing that He is God, He could have sent an army and destroyed them. But no, He sent His Son alone, and they killed Him as well. What we can see over here is God's mercy. The landowner doesn't say that he will destroy the vineyard, but instead, He says that He will punish the tenants and He will get another set of tenants. God is someone who wants to give us a second chance to come back to Him. What we can learn from this passage and reflect upon, one is responsibility. God has given each and every one of us a responsibility. This responsibility is a pure gift, and it is sacred because it comes from God. And when giving us a responsibility, He provides us with everything that we need to fulfill it. Second, accountability. If each of us had been given a responsibility from God, what we have to do is we are accountable to Him. We all are given a role to play. And very often we convert that role into a position, which leads to arrogance. So we need to ask ourselves today, am I accountable? And if yes, is my accountability leading to arrogance? Third is mercy. We all have that responsibility, whether you're a child or an adult. Now, during the season of Lent, it's a very wonderful time to turn to the Lord. He is waiting for us. He's waiting to forgive us. He's calling us again. He wants to embrace us. He wants us to give us the responsibility to take care of His vineyard. He still wants to be our cornerstone, that cornerstone which we reject. As we conclude, let us spend this few moments in prayer. Lord, I want to thank you for the gift of the vineyard, for being our landowner, for sending us your servants and your Son. Thank you for the word which nourishes us. Heavenly Father, help us to be passionate about you, so that we may be led more closer to you. Give us the grace to understand our responsibilities and to fulfill it, taking it as a role and not as a position. And let us be humble in everything we do, knowing that you are a merciful Father who loves us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.